Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Su.
Welcome to another episode of Marketing School. I'm Eric Su.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we are going to talk about how to start in SEO. So hold on, before you complain. We've talked about this in the past, but times change. The last time we talked about literally this topic was, I think, 2 years ago. Close to 2 years ago. Something like
that, yes.
Yeah. So it's time to refresh. Yeah.
Exactly, and the landscape's changed quite a bit.
What do you got?
The biggest thing that we're seeing right now is, before, when we said, hey, if you want to get started in SEO, we recommended that you just create your own website, probably a WordPress blog. I'm guessing it was something like that. And you just go and you practice and you experiment. That's somewhat true still, but the problem these days is if you get your start in SEO and you just start with a brand new blog and you're off to the races, it's going to take you a very long time before you start seeing any results. So if you're trying to learn SEO, you spend a year practicing on your own website, that's a bit too long to wait to see results before you're like, oh, I now know SEO, so I'm off to the races and now I can help other people or I can make a career in this. So my recommendation nowadays is, if you want to start learning SEO, yes, you should have your own website, but you should first off start practicing on someone else's website that's a bit older and aged, because it's easier and quicker to see results with aged websites. And that will help you determine if what you're doing is working out or it's not. Just make sure you pick a site from, someone who doesn't really care for it. They're not monetizing it. And you just hit up a ton of people and just offer the services for free.
Yeah, we talked about this in the last episode. Neil alluded to this, but it's easier to grow a business than it is to start a business. So when you work on an age domain, who's going to reject your help at the end of the day? Let's say you've done SEO for a couple months. Look, if you've done it for 3 to 6 months or so, you probably know more than most people already. If you offer help to somebody, you're out there, you're networking perhaps, you're reaching out to people that are your fans, you're offering free SEO audits or whatever, somebody's eventually going to take you up on it. Because if you're kind of building on a TED Talk I saw last week, Harvard professor talked about the 3 elements of trust, right? It's authenticity, it's empathy, and it's logic, right? If you can connect with someone and you get them to trust you, which I'm assuming you probably can because you're smart, because you're listening to this podcast, you are going to be able to do stuff for people for free. That's how any kind of consulting stuff works. You start doing stuff for people for free, then you eventually start to make some money, then you're able to scale, and then it goes on as long as you want to keep it going.
I had 3 people recently test this out who wanted to learn SEO, so I gave them this advice. What they ended up doing was just emailing a ton of blogs, people on WordPress, because it's easier that way. If you go look for WordPress blogs, there's plugins. You don't have to be as technical or a developer. The other person then doesn't have to hire a developer, which is much easier to convince them to do it. But you had to email roughly 15 to 17 people before you get a solid yes. What I mean by a solid yes is someone who just doesn't say, yeah, sure, but someone who's truly committed, being like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yes, I really want this. If you get someone who's just like, yeah, whatever, you can try it out here and there, and they cut you off within a week or 2 or a month or 2, that's not enough time for you. So you want to make sure the other person is super vetted, or not necessarily just vetted, but more so really engaged and involved. Because if they want to quit after a while, you've wasted your time and you're going to have to start all over again. So make sure you let them know what it's going to look like, that it's going to take at least 6 months. They have to let you do it for 6 months. Heck, I even recommended to those people that, hey, if you're going to do work for free, get a contract with them, making them sign that, hey, you have to let me do this for a few 6 months minimum for free. And people are like, you're crazy, but you're just like, well, I don't want to do it halfway and then stop. And that's really important, because if you do SEO halfway and stop, you're not going to learn everything that you need to. You need 6 months minimum.
Yeah, and make sure that you're staying up to date on trends, because last time we did this episode, we didn't talk about voice as much. We didn't talk about semantic search as much, but that stuff is actually, even though it's not kind of, fully rolled out yet, Ray Kurzweil, who's, one of the AI guys or heads up AI at Google, he just released a semantic search tool on searching a bunch of books at one time. So looking into that, just being aware of what's coming is important. And even for our blog, we started adding Amazon Poly to it, where people could just read, our blog posts as well. So you probably don't, it's not something that's really very actionable right now, but just being aware by looking at sites like Search Engine Roundtable or reading Neil's blog, for example, neilpatel.com, and, just staying up to date is really important. And what I like doing is when I look at, I like looking at Twitter. I have my little Twitter list. I think if you follow me on Twitter, you can see the list that I follow. There's a bunch of SEOs in there. They're sharing the latest stuff in SEO, and well, that keeps you up to date. So
yeah, you just have to keep testing. You have to be innovative. And yes, if a lot of people aren't doing it, that's okay. That's the stuff you really want to test out and try. But the reason you want to try that stuff is because that's the future. Just because it's not popular now doesn't mean that won't change 2 to 3 years from now.
Yeah, I think one final thing I'll add from a tactical perspective is SEO and sales are very much similar, right, in many ways, because with SEO, what you're doing is you're finding a list of prospects, you're reaching out to them, you have a process for that, and at the end of the day, you get a link. Sales is the same thing, but at the end of the day, you get a sales or a sale. And when you're trying to do SEO, you're basically selling yourself, and then also at the same time, you're trying to get the link. So I think looking at Victor Antonio, he has a really good YouTube channel on sales, learning that stuff, reading The Ultimate Sales Machine by the late Chet Holmes, looking at Backlinko, who's well known for SEO, reading Matthew Barbie's stuff. He's the VP of growth over at HubSpot, or VP of SEO, I believe, will get you the stuff from some of the best people in the industry. So Neil, anything else?
Yeah, the last thing for me is when you're learning SEO and you're trying it, most new SEOs, heck, even intermediate and advanced ones, focus on traffic from relevant keywords. That's a really terrible idea. Just because you get more relevant traffic doesn't mean you get more sales, even if it's indirect or that cause them to come to your site and they come back 2 to 3 times later and then convert. What I found that people make the big mistake when it comes to learning SEO is don't focus on traffic. Instead, you need to look at Google Analytics, where is the ROI coming, and focus on increasing the traffic to the pages that are causing the most revenue, whether it's from leads, direct sales like e-commerce. But it's not just a traffic game. It's about getting the right audience who's willing to convert. Just because someone's from your niche doesn't mean they're going to convert. The keywords that have buyer intent, even though they have a lot less volume, are the ones you should be going after first. They're less competitive and they'll generate you more cash.
All right, so that's it for today. Go to singlegrain.com/giveaway to check out our marketing tools, and we'll see you tomorrow.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.